Well guys, here we are in the editing portion of this video. Unfortunately, the first couple minutes of the video was non-stop static that I could not remove in Adobe Premiere. So what we're going to do is start from the portion of what you need when it comes to setting up a terrestrial tarantula enclosure. And we'll kind of get into that first. There is still a little bit of static here and there, but I think I got most of it out. And I promise it does disappear after the first couple minutes once I switch camera modes. So bear with me on that one. I didn't mean for it to be this bad. Hopefully it's not too bad and I can kind of fine tune it a little bit. But without further ado, here is the what you need section of setting up your first terrestrial tarantula. So what we have here is the terrarium. Here's what you're gonna need. A terrarium, your substrate. I am using Reptisoil, which is a newer substrate by Zoomed. This is a 4-part mix of peat moss, planting soil, carbon, which I feel was a bit of a weird choice, and a little bit of sand as well, but it does clump really nicely. It seems to hold moisture relatively well, which is really nice for, you know, some of the more moisture attentive species, if that's what you've chosen. Other substrates I've used in the past, a lot of the substrate I had before this was actually from a tarantula like store kind of thing, or a tarantula retailer. Arachnophiliacs, if that helps. Bruce makes his own substrate. It's great stuff. It's like $5 for 4 quarts or something like that. So it's pretty cheap. It's really well mixed. It's got a good mixture to it. So that's what I was using before that. And if you want to do your own, save a little bit of money because this stuff isn't cheap. It's about $17 Canadian for a 10-quart bag. You can always get a bag of potting soil and a bag of vermiculite. Just make sure there's no fertilizers in any of those things, and you can use that as well at a 3-to-1 ratio of 3 parts potting soil and 1 part vermiculite. Some sphagnum moss as well is a really good addition there to keep the humidity in without it getting flooded for, again, some of those more tropical species. So with that being said, we're gonna get started here. Some other things you're gonna need. So we have the cage, the soil. I also have a piece of cork bark here. I'm gonna turn it into a little hide. You can also use the store-bought hides like the Exoterra hides, which is actually what she has right now. Just one of those Exoterra kind of dome hide things. They're like ceramic. They're okay. They're not bad. She's had hers for a while, but cork bark is a bit of a cheaper option if you want to save a bit of money there. Also, you need a water dish. I have a water dish in here already, which I'll be transferring from this enclosure to this enclosure. Again, it is an Exoterra one, but you can just use something like a small deli cup. You can use, depending on the size of the tarantula, I mean, there's so many different options out there. You know, just pick something that seems right to you and fit your budget. I believe the dollar store has those little like ceramic clay water dish things or flower pot things. You can use one of those as well. Pretty much anything you feel comfortable with that you can find and get your hands on that's going to hold water is going to work for the tarantula. So with all that, I'm going to start pouring this in here. Start setting up the terrarium, let you guys watch, and just kind of go through the motions a little bit on what it looks like setting up your first terrestrial species tarantula setup. So all we're doing is pouring the substrate in. We're going to use quite a bit here. In fact, I don't know if I have enough in just this bag. I do have a second bag behind me in case we run out. So I have a feeling we're going to use that because there is not a lot in here. Yeah, we're gonna need to open up that second bag here. So this is what I have so far. We definitely want about 3 to 4 inches of substrate for a terrestrial species. For a fossorial species, which is a burrowing species, which I don't really recommend as a first tarantula, so we shouldn't really be talking too much about it, but you're gonna want about 3 times the spider's length in height of substrate. Hopefully that makes sense. Just enough so they can get burrowed down nice and deep for fossorial. Fossorial is of course a burrowing species. But we're doing a terrestrial setup here, so we should be okay with about 2 to 3 inches of substrate, maybe a little bit more, a little less. We'll see how much it goes. All right, I have my second bag here, as promised. Exact same stuff, the Reptisoil by Zoomed. And let's open this guy up and start pouring. It is quite a bit in there, but I think once we flatten it all out, it should be pretty bang on where I'm hoping to get to. I'm gonna need to add a little bit more, we'll see. Let's get that off to the side now. All right, let's kind of give it a little bit of a shake, level it out a bit. And yeah, this is actually pretty much where I want it to be. We've got it shaken out. I'm gonna use this tool, which is actually an improvised tool. It came with a filter that I'm housing one of my slings in. It's basically just to keep to push the substrate down, get it nice and compact, and then, yeah, just kind of try and keep my hands a little bit cleaner. So let's do that. All we're gonna do is just shove it down, compress it, nice and flat. You can also use it as kind of a rake to kind of make sure that it's even in some of the areas that maybe didn't get the full amount of substrate. And again, all we're doing is just pushing it down nice and compact. All right. Seems to be pretty good. Give that a shake off, put it off to the side. And now what we want to do is create a burrow or a kind of hide for this species or for your tarantula. We're going to use a cork bark. We're going to stick it in at a bit of an angle. We're going to dig down a little bit with it. Try and push all that substrate to the side, push a little bit up to the front. Essentially, we're just creating a big hole here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Sticking it in, pushing substrate back toward it, but at an angle again. So we can get it nice and in there. Add a little more substrate back, all around it. Again, compact that in, so much for keep my hands clean. And just like that, we're going to dig it out just a little bit more, put on a bit more of an angle. Again, tighten it up a little bit. Get it in there. Compact it down a little bit more and create a bit of a ramp / entrance all around there. So she's going to feel nice and safe down below. All right. Brush the hands off. We are almost ready for the transfer. I'm going to grab the water dish out of our current cage, which by the way is being reused for another new addition. In fact, you guys will see that cage in the arboreal setup here or there. Once that's actually posted, which will probably be here pretty quickly. But all we're going to do is grab the water dish from her current cage, because I do have one already for the avicularia that's going in here. Take that out, throw that in there, try and make sure it's level. Perfect. Okay, we got that. It is time for the transfer. So when you're putting your tarantula right in here for the first time, you don't have to do it this way. There's several methods you can use to transfer a tarantula from its current cage or its current enclosure or whatever it came with into its new enclosure. There's plenty of methods to that. Depending on the species you chose, is going to depend on how I recommend transferring. There's a catch cup method, which basically involves having a cup, coaxing the tarantula into the cup, bringing the cup over to the new cage, letting her get out, and then basically putting the lid on and you're done. I am going to handle her because I know she's capable of accepting handling. But to do that, I'm gonna have to take her down, we're gonna have to reposition the camera, make sure it's on a flat level. Because she is terrestrial, a drop from even a small height could hurt her very badly or kill her. So obviously tarantula safety comes first in this, and that's what we're gonna be doing right now. Don't worry about dropping or anything like that, because she should be at a very safe distance. I'm gonna take her current hideout and just put it off to the side. I have a molt down here I'm going to grab as well. And I'm going to try and coerce her onto my hand. And once she's on, gently over to the new enclosure. Let her get her footing. Let her down. And just like that, she is in her new home. So we're gonna put the lid on here now. And give her a chance to explore the new house. And that's it, guys. It's that easy. Terrestrials are pretty easy. The cage itself was pretty simple to put together. Again, all you need is the necessities: water, hide, substrate. Secure lid is important as well, which I don't think I talked about too much, but you want a secure lid. And you are pretty much all set. So that is Brachypelma verdesi's new enclosure. As you can see, she is puppy dog tame. She is hopefully enjoying the new enclosure. I'm going to take the plastic off of these lids here. Hopefully. It seems to be caught. There we go. So we've got plastic off that one. This one did come with 2 lids. Yours may not. Yours may only come with 1. Either way, it's all good. We'll go back up top. I will talk about some other enclosures you can use apart from this one that are just as good, and then we'll end the video there. All right, guys, now that we're back up top, here are some other things you can use as enclosures if you don't have access to that one or this one in particular. There's a smaller version of it as well up here. But another enclosure that's pretty readily available is the breeder boxes by Exoterra. These guys right here. You can see here I have some cork bark chunks right over there and a PVC style hide on that side. As well as a couple smaller water dishes. These are just the deli cups, smaller size because it is a smaller size tarantula here. When she does get bigger, I'll obviously supply a bigger water dish, kind of move up with her. But yeah, these guys are pretty readily available as well. They retail for around, depending on the size, anywhere from like 15 to 25-ish. For the kind of small to large size, again, depending on the size of the tarantula you just got. This is going to be a great option as well. It does have a little feeder hole here if you want to use that. I've never used them before, but I know some people do. There's actually 2. There's one on the side there, right up there, and there's one on the front, right up there. Or of course, you can just use the top entrance, which is right there, which is what I usually use anyways. But either way works. And yes, that's another option. I mean, there's so many options available. There's acrylic ones made just for tarantulas, which are awesome. I've used those before. There are these kind of critter keeper style things, or like they get bigger and bigger, obviously. You can use those, although for terrestrial, I like sticking with the smaller, like the lower platform ones, like the breeder boxes of these guys. These guys are not stackable, the breeder boxes are. Just from having a little bit of substrate sitting on that for a day or two while I was waiting for it to dry out from the wash, the lid did bend a little bit, so I'm a little worried. I definitely wouldn't stack them though, after seeing that. Definitely not going to support much weight, so keep that as an option, but the breeder boxes do stack really well. Outside of that, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys have fun with your first tarantula. You know, leave it alone for a while, let it get settled in. I know a lot of you guys want to handle it, and having seen me handle mine, probably wasn't the best use of this video. I don't necessarily recommend it. It's more of a do what I say, not what I do type situation there. Keep in mind, I have been around tarantulas for about 15 years now, so I have quite a bit of knowledge and understanding on what they're capable of doing in certain situations. So if this is your first one, avoid handling it for now, let it get settled in, let it get used to its environment, and let yourself get used to it as a new pet as well. You know, this isn't a puppy dog. It doesn't have affection like a dog or a cat or anything like that. It's just pure animal instinct, and handling it really does the actual spider no benefit. It's not going to feel closer to you because of it. It's not going to feel any sort of connection to you because you're handling it more. It's not even really going to adapt to handling either. It's really just meant to go on a animal instinct of survive and do what it has to do that. So try to avoid handling if you can. If you decide to handle down the road, I will have a handling video out here eventually. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'll kind of tell you how I handle and give you some of my secrets as far as what the best ways to handle a tarantula are. As you did see, I went down to the floor for my terrestrial species because a drop can be very detrimental to their health, up to and including death. So again, make sure if you are going to handle, it's at floor level where if it wants to run, it can run. It's not going to jump off your hand. That is the last thing you want to have it. I've seen a lot of people handle like up here and the floor is like way down here. A drop from that height, if it were to ever happen, could potentially kill your tarantulas. So again, be very careful when handling. Make sure you are low to the ground and you're capable of maneuvering around it in a space like this one right here that's fairly empty, fairly open, and there's nowhere it can get caught or stuck in, like a vent or even a door or something like that. So I usually towel off the doors, especially for the faster species, towel off the doors and have a screen over top of the vent just in case anything were to happen. But that's a whole other video. In the meantime, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully it helped you set up your first tarantula, and hopefully you do enjoy owning your first tarantula. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.